All right, let's dive in. This time we're taking a look at Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism.
Yeah.
You know, you sent in this PDF excerpt from Understanding Guru Nanak, the revolutionary saint and founder of Sikhism.
Right.
And I have to say, some of his ideas from way back in the 15th century, they still feel so relevant today, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
His vision, his teachings. It's pretty amazing how he challenged those rigid norms of his time.
Yeah.
Like both societal and religious.
Totally. Like, his ideas were revolutionary for that time, you know?
Yeah.
Challenging the status quo.
Absolutely. Even as a kid, the book talks about how he questioned, like, all those rituals, all the societal things that people just sort of accepted. He really thought for himself.
Yeah, he did. Even from a young age, he was already drawn to spirituality and compassion, not just blind faith.
And that kind of leads to this really cool story about his friendship with Mardana.
Oh, yes. The Muslim musician.
Right. It shows how he really, truly went beyond religious boundaries.
Absolutely. It wasn't just, like, a personal thing. It was a statement about unity, you know?
Yeah. Especially back then when religious differences often led to conflict.
Exactly. But he saw the divine spark in everyone, regardless of their faith.
You know, it makes you wonder, what if more people could see things that way?
It's a powerful thought for sure.
It really is. But before we get too deep into that, we need to understand where he was coming from, right? Like what shaped his vision. And the book points to two major influences, Sufism and the Bhakti movement.
Oh, yeah. Those were huge for him.
I'll admit I didn't know much about either before reading this, but wow, they're both fascinating.
Yeah.
So can you give us like the key principles of each? What resonated with Guru Nanak?
Well, both Sufism and Bhakti emphasize this personal, heartfelt connection with the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And they rejected empty rituals and dogma. Like Sufism in the Punjab region where Guru Nanak lived, they were all about directly experiencing God's presence. They believed in the unity of God, which really resonated with him.
So it was about like stripping away all those layers and connecting directly with the divine?
Exactly. And it was radical for that time.
It really was.
And the Bhakti movement was all about devotion, this love for God that went beyond social barriers and all those rigid rituals. They experienced the divine through music, poetry, chanting.
And you can see those influences in Sikhism itself. Like, I was blown away to learn that the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh Holy Scripture, actually has hymns by the Bhakti Saint Namdev.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It shows how open-minded Guru Nanak was. He synthesized all these influences into something unique and universal at the same time.
Yeah. He wasn't creating another religion per se, but offering a way of life.
Exactly. It wasn't about new beliefs or rituals, but cultivating certain qualities within yourself.
Yeah.
Compassion, unity, that direct connection.
And that brings us to one of the core principles, Ik Onkar, the belief in one universal creator present in all beings.
Right, the essence of non-duality.
Yeah, this idea that the divine isn't separate but woven into everything.
Yeah.
The book quotes the Mool Mantar, the opening of the Guru Granth Sahib.
It's
Beautiful.
It is.
It says, "There is one creator whose name is Truth. He is the creator, without fear, without enmity, timeless, beyond birth, self-existent, and realized through the Guru's grace."
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right.
But, like, what does it mean to actually live with that awareness?
Yeah.
You know, that we're all connected to that one divine source.
That's the big question, right? It's easy to quote scriptures, but embodying them in our daily lives, that's the real work.
It is.
Recognizing the divine in everything, in everyone. That's what leads to a life of compassion, unity, and harmony.
It's like seeing the interconnectedness in everything.
Exactly.
Like we're all part of this giant cosmic tapestry. But like, that's a lifelong journey, right?
It is. And Guru Nanak knew it wouldn't be easy. There would be challenges. You know, Guru Nanak really wasn't afraid to call people out on their hypocrisy. Like,
Yeah.
He was really troubled by all the superstitions, the empty rituals, people exploiting others in the name of faith.
It's like you saying, wake up, people. This isn't real spirituality.
Exactly. He wanted to offer a path to a genuine connection, you know.
Right? Free from all those trappings.
Yeah, he saw those things as obstacles.
Obstacles to real growth.
To inner purity, compassion, connecting with the Creator.
But, and the book makes this point, it's ironic that some of those things Guru Nanak rejected have kind of snuck back into modern Sikhism.
It is, isn't it?
It's like history repeating itself.
Yeah, it shows how hard it is to keep the essence of a teaching pure over time, you know? It happens in a lot of traditions.
Like the book gives the example of the Golden Temple.
Right.
Obviously a sacred site, but now it's like a major tourist attraction.
Yeah, an Instagram hotspot.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with appreciating its beauty. But it does make you think, has the focus shifted away from that inner experience?
Yeah, it's a good point. And it's not just the Golden Temple. Sometimes people treat the Guru Granth Sahib almost like an idol, you know?
Instead of a source of wisdom?
Yeah, it's like they're focused on the form and not the essence.
Missing the forest for the trees. I guess it's a reminder to check our intentions. Make sure our practices are aligned with the real spirit of the teachings.
It's a constant process.
Of self-reflection.
Yeah, and course correction.
And that's something we all struggle with, I think.
Absolutely.
No matter what our beliefs are.
One thing I find really interesting, though, is how Guru Nanak's message goes beyond Sikhism.
Oh, yeah.
Like non-duality, oneness, that idea pops up in all sorts of spiritual traditions.
That's what I kept thinking when I was reading this. Like, I've heard this before, but in different ways.
It's the universal truth, really.
Expressed in different forms by different cultures.
It's like humanity keeps coming back to this idea.
We are all connected.
To this one divine reality.
So, like, how does non-duality work in other traditions? Any examples come to mind?
Well, in Sufism, there's Tawhid.
Okay.
Which is all about the oneness of God.
Mm-hmm.
And in Hinduism, there's Advaita Vedanta and the idea of Brahman.
That ultimate reality.
That encompasses everything, yeah.
So even if the words are different, the core idea is the same, right?
Yeah.
One ultimate reality, everything else is a manifestation of that.
It's like looking at a diamond from different angles, you know?
Each facet reflects the light differently, but it's still the same diamond.
Perfect analogy.
And it's not just about the oneness of God, right? These traditions have similar ways of, like, reaching that oneness.
Right.
Like, Sufism uses poetry, music, mystical practices, and Hinduism has the bhakti tradition, right? Love and devotion as a path.
To dissolve that illusion of separation.
Surrender the ego, merge with the divine through chanting, prayer, selfless service.
And Sikhism has Nam Simran, remembering God's name.
And Siva, selfless service.
Right. So it's like no matter the practice, the principle's the same. Transcending the ego, experiencing that oneness directly.
That's it.
And then there's how these traditions deal with the ego itself.
Yeah, that sense of me that separates us.
So in Sufism, it's about annihilating the nafs, the egoic self.
Right.
Hinduism talks about overcoming Maya, the illusion. It's like waking up from a dream.
Yeah. Realizing that separate self was just temporary.
And Sikhs focus on overcoming homai, which is like ego or pride.
And Guru Nanak really stressed humility, selflessness. So it's not just about understanding intellectually, but actually working to dissolve those barriers.
Whether we call it ego, Maya, homai.
Recognizing their illusions.
It's about shifting from me to we.
From individual gain to the well-being of everyone.
That's it.
And that leads to another point where these traditions meet. Universal brotherhood, social equality.
Absolutely. Sufism is all about love, transcending social boundaries.
And the Bhakti movement challenged the caste system.
Yeah, saying God's in everyone's heart, no matter their social standing.
And, of course, Sikhism has equality as a core principle, and Langar, where everyone shares a meal.
It's amazing how these threads of non-duality run through so many different traditions.
Makes you wonder if it's just part of us, you know, this longing for unity.
Maybe it's
a reflection of our true nature.
That beneath all the differences, we're part of something bigger.
It's a beautiful thought.
It is.
And it makes you wonder, what kind of world could we create if we all tapped into that?
That's the question, isn't it?
It really is. It's funny, as we're talking about all this, I can't help but think about how much we need this message right now.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere you look, it's division, polarization, conflict.
That's true.
We've forgotten how to see each other, you know?
Yeah, we get so stuck in our own little bubbles.
It's like we're living in a world of broken mirrors, each one showing a distorted reality. How do we break free from that? How do we bridge these gaps and start seeing each other as, like, fellow travelers on this journey?
That's the big question, right? And Guru Nanak's teachings offer some answers, I think.
Okay.
Like, he reminds us that those barriers we see, they're often illusions, just mental constructs that keep us apart.
From each other and from the divine.
Exactly.
So it's about shifting our perspective, like realizing that all those differences that seem so huge,
nationality, religion, politics,
they're actually superficial.
Compared to our shared humanity.
Yeah.
It's about seeing that divine spark in everyone.
No matter who they are, what they believe.
Understanding that we're all connected, part of this web of life.
I love that image.
It's a good one, right?
It really captures it.
It does.
And it makes me think about the problems we're facing as a planet, like climate change, social injustice, inequality.
Those are all interconnected, too.
They are, and they need collective solutions.
But we keep approaching them from this place of division.
Yeah.
Us versus them.
Blaming each other instead of working together.
It's like we're trying to solve a puzzle, but we keep scattering the pieces.
Instead of putting them together.
Yeah, we got to remember that we're all in this together.
Our fates are intertwined.
And that's where non-duality comes in.
Okay.
When we shift from separation to unity, it changes how we approach everything.
We can see past our own self-interest and work for the good of the whole.
It's moving from win-lose to win-win.
Recognizing that caring for others doesn't mean sacrificing our own well-being.
They're actually linked.
Yeah, exactly.
And that shift can change everything.
Not just our personal lives, but our future as a species.
It can help us create a world where compassion and justice aren't just ideas, but reality.
It's amazing that these teachings from so long ago are still so powerful today.
Guru Nanak was ahead of his time.
He wasn't just a teacher, but a visionary.
He gave us a roadmap.
To a better world.
And that roadmap's still there for us.
It's a path that goes beyond religion. Speaks to something deep inside all of us.
That longing for connection, meaning belonging.
So as we wrap up, what's one thing you'd like our listener to take away from all this?
I hope they leave with a sense of wonder, curiosity.
About reality. About their place in it all.
Yeah, and a sense of responsibility.
To live in a way that honors that understanding.
It's not just about knowing, it's about being.
Seeing that divine spark in everyone.
Treating each other with kindness.
Working together to build a world that reflects that unity we know is there, deep down.
That's it.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been enlightening.
It has.
And to our listener, keep exploring these ideas. See how non-duality can change your view of the world. The journey is just beginning.